Wait for a few seconds. Of course, they're probably hearing me already on YouTube. All right, everybody. Hey, guess what? It is currently 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Saturday, May 9th, 2020. You're listening to Disclaimers by Ed. Ed, why don't you take it away?
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us again this evening. It is all about real education, and it's all frustrating when you sit back and you watch what's going on with this craziness, We've had so many pandemics in this history, but we never shut down the cities, counties, or businesses like they've done. So you got to wake up to what they're doing it for. Martial law, checking the circumstances of what's going on with people around you. They can monitor your cell phones, and they're checking all your frequencies right now while everything's down, so that way it's easier to track the individual down because you're not moving right now. See, this is the one thing that people don't realize, how simple it is to do this stuff, and this stuff was already predicted to happen. This is something that wasn't new. I mean, there were Senate bills, and we even put one up on the YouTube channel dealing with the Senate when they were talking about how the pandemic was going to happen. This was 15 years ago, and we put it up on YouTube, and we sure got axed on that real quick when that went up. So I find it interesting now that Yahoo nowadays is having community standards, but you got to remember the Queen of England, but Yahoo. Yahoo is out of Canada now. So, and you got to realize that, these things are still controlled by the Queen of England, still under the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, and the bar. The British accreditation, the King and Queen of England. Things have not changed. Well, the lawyers will say, "Oh, you can't tell me that. I'm a bar attorney, and that doesn't exist that way." Bullshit. It's interesting because, I've had multi-million-dollar lawsuits that I should have won, and every time they had an attorney involved, and even the one I did myself, they went after and said, horrendous things about, even I dismissed my own $35 million case. So it's interesting. So at least the one thing is that they can't come after me for using de facto notes or anything to that effect. So they can't try to put me in some type of classification. So it's learning how this thing goes. That's why I say it's so important to register yourself as a lawful bloodline native. Prove your heritage. All right, now you got your papers, because the lawyer can only represent a corporation. And so now you got your papers filed, now you got your corporation filed, and now you're a corporation. And you're the owner of that corporation. So you have to file to own you. If you don't file to own you, that's how the state still has authority over you. And they're going to tell you, "Oh, that's crazy." No, it's true. It's true. So, It is so frustrating what we're living today, especially what the kids are going through, because these kids ain't even educated today. Even most kids, that are, basically 35 to 60, no real education. So, and then I have to bring up, it's funny, with this Chrissy Ann Hall, supposedly a constitutional attorney. Sorry, Chris, you always talk about your attorney, and you always talk about the bar, and you're still a British slave. So don't get confused with some of the stuff Chris Ann Hall says. I've been watching some of her stuff. I've chimed in some of her talk shows. She gets upset with me for telling the truth. So I want to make sure that people comprehend this. The United States Code 28 U.S.C. 3002. All right, when the bankruptcy happened, when the British government went bankrupt to the native people, that's when they bankrupt the whole structure, and they took the gold, and then they took the gold that was supposed to be paid off to the natives, and that never happened. So, and that's the one thing, too, is remember United States Marshal means at 16, deputy or an official of the United States Marshal Service. designated under 564. And so it is so apparent to know what these things are meaning, what they are, the circumstances, what the meaning is, why they have these things out there for you to read. So this way you know who's liable for the debt. All right, elected and public employees and all immigrants. There's no tax exemption for any of them or immigrants. They have no tax exemption compared to what Cape Brown lies to you about. And that's the one thing, a lot of stuff comes out of Cape Brown's mouth as a lie. She's still a bar attorney, and she's committed treason, and that is filed. And so that's the one thing that people, you need to start filing these charges on these people. When somebody's got one charge, you need to help the other one. This is why it's done in admiralty law. This is 28 U.S.C. You know, and this is structured under the 3002, Chapter 176, Federal Debt Collection. And so once you start realizing how all this stuff works and the IOUs and these stuff work, and don't get into, because I notice how people have got into doing creditor notes back and forth. Don't do IOUs because they have to be paid sometime. And a lot of people are doing that, and then you're going to get yourself caught up in some legal issues that it's not fair for you to do that to yourself or those around you. You know, there's a lot of people out there giving bad advice, and so I recommend that you listen and advise yourself to research things before you jump in and do stuff. And I do have my paperwork out there, and anybody could use it. I don't have a problem with it. Just let me know. And then GMIEI, utility. If you want to know what your Social Security number is, we have that. Put it up. Then that way you go see what your value is, what your stock exchange is, and that's the point. Now we're getting points to the point of going to the Public Trust Fund, and then we're going to be working with the Utility Commission, and so that way we can start working on writing off for water, electricity bills, and the bills that are supposed to be done correctly. But we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly, so that's why we don't put ourselves or anybody else in a liability issue. I'm not going to do that to myself, and I sure ain't going to do it to you. And as me running for office, that's the one thing, is an oath to office. I'm going to be taking my oath seriously. If I do end up being successful, I will have to register under the 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act, which I will do. And then I'm looking at putting a couple ballot titles out here in the next week. So I want to be able to do that. And that's the one thing that I do recommend. You go to my elect Ed Johnston, or elect Edward Johnston, Lincoln County Commissioner site, because I got a lot of stuff I'm putting up there, so I'm asking people to push it around, because this is the one thing that you're going to realize, that this stuff is coming out, and I'm putting this stuff out there so that way we have a choice and a decision to make sure that we're going to be secure. If we are not secure, there's no future in this country. And that means you have to be secure in your knowledge. That means you have to be secure about what you're talking about. And that's the one thing, too, is that you want to make sure that you are definitely know what you are talking about. And so I've tried to read Ted my site, but I wouldn't, but I like it. Lincoln. It should be Lincoln County, but Lincoln, somehow it went on that way, but we'll go with the Lincoln because it is a con. The county commissioner, all that is a con. So let me make it clear that my given name is Edward Malone Johnston, non-combatant, civilian, non-belligerent, lawful bloodline native of 48 United States. Private property, non-corporation. And so when you talk to these people, you have to stress that you are non-corporation. You have to stress what your standing is. You have to make sure that these people start comprehending that they know what you're saying and you know what they're saying. You know, and that's the one thing I do have on this elect Johnson de facto, and I've had the structure up on it right now with the Bar Association, because the Bar Association is still run and controlled by the Queen of England. And, we are putting more and more information up on this site with other stuff. Citizenship, if you're claiming to be a citizenship, that means, it's like, then the other point is a lot of people want to talk about common man. Common man. I'm not common. I'm native. I don't want to use the word common because that goes back to common, like Virginia and those states, Commonwealth. They learn what the word means, common. We don't want to use British terminology, and it's proven that the Black Law Dictionary was written as a joke. I've got a couple of videos up. I got more research I'm doing on that one. And so we're going to be getting more and more of that out. But, yeah, the Black Law Dictionary was written as a joke, and they never expected to take it seriously. And people took it seriously, and they're like, oh, shit. So, anyhow, United States citizen or nationals were declared enemies of this country. Executive Order 2040, that's the Bankruptcy Act. So citizens, and you got to remember the word citizen means that you are a citizen to the crown, a national to the crown. So this is the one thing is that people got to learn what the wording means. So when people say, I'm a United States citizen, you better look up the word citizen because citizen means you have no rights. You're under the crown. You're making your life a misery when you say that. Oh, and I'm proud to be a citizen. Okay, you're proud to be a slave. That's what you just told everybody. You're a slave. It doesn't change. That's the one thing. It does not change. You can all you want to argue all you want, and it ain't gonna change. This is the one thing that people gotta really comprehend this. And also too, I'm gonna be going through and pulling off some of these religious steals because I don't do religion. Religion came from England. So, and then also too, for public office in the state of Oregon, ORS 162-405, official misconduct. So look at that. When they are charging and billing you and they're kidnapping you, put you in jail, that's billing for illegal billing of funds. That's official misconduct too. So these are things that you have to write in your complaint as well as your criminal charges. So you got to put this stuff in the criminal charges because in that way you are the injured party. And you have to use the word corpus delicti in your filings so that way you have a lawful, not illegal standing. And so that's the one thing. Fire department, firemen, all of them are employees of the corporation. And that's the one thing. When these people are out there saying that, they're paid to protect their soil, police department are not paid. It's been proven by the Supreme Court. Now, police departments, if you do that, we recommend and support it. But seeing that you're not doing your job and you're out there doing financial gain for the city corporation and threatening people if they don't pay the king's wage, you're going to assault us for our rights and freedom. So this is, like I said, when you do these criminal charges, you've got to write these things in. It is not the function of government to keep citizens from falling into error. It's the function of the citizen to keep the government from falling into error. Even though this was written by the American Communications Association in 1950, but that's association, but it's still basically telling you that, it's our fault when these things happen. So that's the one thing that you got to realize. And also, too, practicing law. Practicing law is restricted. Code 26 U.S.C. 955. See, this stuff is restricted when they do this, the clerks and the court system. So it's knowing how your court system works and bringing this stuff up and realizing how you are to defend yourself. practicing under law prohibited. See, when they do this stuff, and this goes back to the 1940 Administration Act, when that was passed in 1940. So it is stepping out and realizing what this stuff becomes. You know, it's like today, the corporations are not honoring their oath of servitude. And so that's what I have on my website, running for office, with these laws, these administration up there. So I'm asking people, please pass the Facebook site around, because if we can start getting that passed around and people start reading what the real law is, what they have to go by, here's the federal law. That's why they keep talking about, let's get rid of the federal law, let's get rid of this stuff. And it's like, no, we don't want to get rid of this stuff. You know, these are the lawyers and attorneys that are trying to break this country still up so that way they can run the country from you. You know, they already convinced you of giving up so much of your rights and freedom. Look at what we're going through with this circumstances right now with the so-called flu epidemic. So, I mean, and this is the point. We're going through these changes, and we're living this fear. And so, and this is just the other point is that, you know, they're telling you you don't have a right. So that's where people are getting so frustrated. And you got all these news media out there going, oh, these people are just they don't get it, and they're putting you in danger because they're out there, you know, in the public. You know, the thing is that how many of those things were caused by the flu shot? I mean, all the flu epidemics that were caused by all the flu shots always killed people or they got sick. So, you know, usually that happened within 72 hours for the shot. When you got the shot, you knew if you were sick or not. So, I mean, these things haven't changed. This is the same structure. So, when people are out there mongering and putting this fear out to the general public with all this emphasis, back away. I mean, Fox has gone down the tube. Fox News now is they're a democratic station now. That's all they do is we got to protect their democracy. There's no democracy in our Constitution. There's no democracy in our founding structure of this country. Democracy came from the Civil War, from the devil itself. You know, that's the two constitutions. And believe me, there are two constitutions in this country. So you do have to comprehend and pay attention to that. And so that's the other thing, too, is like when you file your paperwork, you want to make sure your paperwork is filed in out there. So that way, and you file your paperwork, don't forget to include filing in museums, the library, public records, that they have to keep public records. Library and museums are great places to file with, so that way you know that your stuff is being secured. And see, this is the one thing that we need to get more education out there on these things. Because as I'm running for office and I'm putting this stuff out, you know, people are panicking. And that's the one thing we don't want them panicking. We want them to pass the knowledge around and realizing you don't need driver's license. You don't need a hunting and fishing license. So long as that you are native. Immigrants, you have no rights. And that's just a fact of life. That's the Supreme Court, and that goes with all the Indian treaties with the British government, and it goes back to the Supreme Court decision of 1828, I mean. So, and then, like I said, the British government, the bar is England's own British accreditation. So when these people telling you, oh no, that doesn't work, it's on my stuff, I have the paperwork, I have the stuff I'm putting up there, so you go double check this stuff, so you can research it, and I do recommend you saving this stuff and downloading the stuff I'm putting up here. You know, and that's the other point, like in Oregon, we have this theft of services, and you have that in every state. And theft of services is a person who commits a crime of theft to service self. All right, so when they are doing their job and they are making a paycheck and they're committing adultery, they're committing robbery, fraud, all this stuff they're doing by imprisoning people, kidnapping and holding them for ransom, that's theft of services because you're paying them a paycheck. And so by them doing that, that's theft of public services. because it's assaulting and imprisoning and holds captivity and, of one's livelihood. So this is the one thing that you've got to pay attention to this stuff and realize what's going on. And like I said, it is so apparent. And then with the Social Security stuff, we do have that stuff you go on. Everybody keeps going, about the Social Security. Well, not that bad of a deal for me, I guess, because I got injured. It's the only thing I had. And so, I filed to own my Social Security as well as recorded record. So I'm not a citizen. I am an owner. So there's a big difference. And I do have the paperwork, too, and I got the other stuff of how to file your criminal complaints. And don't forget, when you write your criminal complaint, you have to write criminal charges. It actually says that in the criminal complaint stuff. That's the one thing that you want to do. And then I want to bring up the stuff to commercial liens. I know a lot of people have been pushing on commercial liens. You cannot do a commercial lien on a judge, a cop, or anything unless you've got a winning lawsuit. Once you got a winning lawsuit, then you could do a commercial lien. But if you file a commercial lien, like, Bruce Lissette and all these other people filed that line, you're going to end up in jail, and we don't want to see people up in jail. We want to be able to do this so, while we're doing our research, we're bringing it out to you, so this way we don't end up in jail, you don't end up in jail, because we want to make sure we're doing it lawfully as well as legally. So, and a commercial lien, you could do that, but see, you got to realize when you're doing that could be called paper terrorism, an act of fraud, mail fraud. It's like when you get a ticket in the mail from the state, the city and county, that's a mail fraud right there. You have evidence of mail fraud. Extorting money from you by the mail is a crime. So it is so important that you comprehend how these things work and comprehending the meaning of these words. Because when you're not comprehending this stuff, then you're realizing that, it's going to blind you. And this is the one thing that it's always amazing how all this stuff comes on religion, when religion is not even supposed to be in our government structure. And that's the one thing that, people forgot about that. There's no pride with them anymore. Where's the respect? Where's the honor? Where's your honor about those respecting the people that you respect and those around you that you claim? So I agree with this one. I would not do commercial liens unless you truly know what you're doing. I know lots of people have done commercial liens. I know lots of people have done it from many different states across the country. And I watched this going on. I watched people get set up entrapment. So don't get yourself caught up in a commercial lien or go along with these people until you know what you're really doing. In a commercial lien, you really can't do a commercial lien until you got a court case you won. And then that way, once you do that, then you give it a commercial lien on their products. But then again, you can put in a form 4506A form that is on these nonprofit. Remember, every public agency, each and every public servant and agency, all right, is a nonprofit agent. And so that's the one thing that, we got this stuff that, Facebook is out there, YouTube is out there, and Yahoo is out there racing this stuff that people are putting up on the pandemic. And it's really disturbing because they're out there, taking stuff down that, it is true. And see, that's the point. It's got to the point where the liars have got it to the point where they can lie, and they're going to believe the lies. And that's what they want you to do, believe their lies. And then also, too, on the website, we do have this, the government employees laugh at the stealing your land. And just realize that's a true story. I've had my assets stolen from the police department when I was in ICU, when my property was raided. You know, I mean, these cops, they do all this shit. This is real what they do. You know, and then people say, oh, Ed, you shouldn't bring that up. And it's like, yeah, they robbed my home, and I'm not supposed to talk about it. I got convicted for my house being robbed by the Toledo Police Department. Yeah, true fact, convicted for my house being robbed. So, I mean, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, when you go to these deals and you're going to a grand jury court, remember, you have to file to make sure that those grand jurors are not elected and public employees, and they have to file a conflict of interest form. And you want to make sure that you go to our website, New.Oregon Tractors, and get the conflict of interest statement form. And I know I have that on all the YouTube channels that we have up, and including the new one, Elect Ed Johnston. So, I mean, we have them up there. So we got the stuff, and please save the stuff up there. You got the files, save the 14th Amendment, download the stuff, download the congressional records. Save this stuff. You know, save the stuff on the employees, you know, how they're laughing, how they're stealing your money. Also, too, the sheriff deputies have no legal or lawful authority doing eviction foreclosures. And so we have that up on the website, too. So learn the law. You know, file on these public servants. You know, and that's the one thing. You got to realize that birth certificate is a statute-coded administrative argument. So a lot of people are out there using that argument, and we don't want to use that argument. You know, we want to use the lawful instructions that are there. So the more you could use the lawful words, and then also too back it up by their administrative codes and their letters. I got a lot of people say, "Well, I don't use administrative codes yet. That's a waste of time." And it's like, no, it's not, because most of these judges and cops, when you put this stuff, everybody keeps telling me, "Oh, they know all this stuff." Well, I'm finding out a lot of these cops don't know this stuff. They really don't know this stuff. They go in, they get trained, and that's all their training. They go out, and that's it. You know, they go home off the job. If they're going to promote, they study, and if not, they don't do anything, you know, except just go home. And if they got a family, that's what their life is, their family. So they're not continuing to constantly doing their education like they're supposed to be doing, just like you're supposed to be doing. So, and I've got this posted up too, witchcraft, and that's the Black Law Dictionary and the history of the Black Law Dictionary. And so this is the one thing to really realize and read this stuff we're putting up there, because it does affect you. And then the other point we've been giving out is the non-person in position, you know, because a non-person doesn't exist. So, and that's the point, that you need to comprehend what a person is, what a living man or woman is, what individual is. See, all these words have meanings to them, and that's the main thing, is make sure when you use these words, use them in the right context. It does take a while to start learning how to use these words in the right context. So, and then we've got the notice of intent to the public service that Dave Lee Buse has served out. We got another guy that has served stuff out in Virginia, Montana, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Tennessee. So, and then, like I said, I'm waiting for them to send me the emails, because once they send me the emails, I told them to put them up in public record. Because in that way, because we do have a public record site on New.Oregon Tractors. So we want to make sure that that stays up. Because in that way, you can always got a public record site to go to, and you've got it. Because it's like with me, my website is my ID. You know, that's my ID. Go to my deal. It says right there, it's Essential Computer Database. That's what your ID runs off, Essential Computer Database. And so that's what I'm running mine off of. So there are ways to get around this system and learning, and they call getting around it. It's just reading the law what it is. applying it. And that is the one thing that you got to realize when you do register your child. You're registering as abandonment property. And so that's how the state comes after 45 days. And if you don't register it, they'll claim it. And you got to make sure you have a filing on file and with the State Bar Association that you own your property bloodline. So you got to make sure they got a copy of this stuff, so that way you start setting yourself free. People say, "Oh, you can't get free out of the system." Well, you can be as free as best you can, and you can be free so long as you follow through. But that means you don't go to the other side. You have to, walk the tightrope. It's just one of those circumstances. So anyhow, we're going to cut it off a little early tonight because the producers had a long evening last night. So we're going to cut it off. We're going to open up the floor. And so we're going to get some questions in. And then with my campaign, I'm asking people, please pass this around Facebook, because once that goes around, the other information I'm putting on that, as much as we get that passed around, it's going to have the federal laws, the state laws, and people can start reading and doing the real history. And I'll have that on the website as well as YouTube videos and other structures on that. So for educational purposes and to help us in our ventures to protect our lawful bloodline and our families. So anyhow, let's go ahead and open up the floor.
All participants are unmuted.
Don't forget to tell them about the Bradstreet and the Duns numbers to add into them.
Well, I'm going to let you go on, and seeing that you already jumped off there, I'm going to let you swim now. That was not good, and I slide that in really good.
Like my father did. Here, boy, you want to swim? Toss them in. That's it. Yeah,
that's right. That's how I learned.
Dog paddle. Yeah, basically, it's on Ed's website also, the Duns and Bradstreet numbers. You'll have them for all states. You can probably find a breakdown from the states. You can get right down to the corporational level of your counties and city townships that you're in. And like it shows right there, township, they're using you like a vessel. That's where they get the crossover from birth, B-I-R-T-H, to birth, B-R-E-T-H. Okay, that's what they're doing to you. They use you as a vessel. That's why they're pirating your ship. But yes, and then what was the other one? You said something else, and I totally forgot where I was going on that one.
I hate brain farts.
Yeah, I know. It's really bothering me. It gets more awesome as the days go by.
Yeah, at least it's order free.
Right.
So, but anyhow, the deal is know what your Duns number is and type this stuff up, because like I said, I already got a filing with the Oregon State on the Dun and Bradstreet. I already got a filing on it. So this is the one thing we're working on is that as soon as we can get it, we can start using that to start writing off the water electricity bill, because it goes into public trust, detainer, and there's another two ones that I got to research. And so once I start putting all these together, we'll get those out and start working with that for everybody, because we're going to do a couple of work sessions on that.
The other one was the GMEI stuff you mentioned, okay? Now, according to what I've read, any corporation has to have an LEI number.
Right.
So I'm wondering how we can factor that into our situations also. I'm doing some research on that.
Okay, because we need to check that out, too, with our birth certificate cross-reference.
Exactly. That was the one that I forgot that you just, popped back into my head.
Yeah, because people don't realize how intense this stuff is. We just cracking into this stuff, and now we're getting it. And now once we start getting the other point, you can start writing stuff off. Then you don't have to worry about going to jail. Like all these people are charging $500, $1,000, and one guy paid $10,000 for all this stuff, and he ended up in jail over it.
Well, how about a woman that spent $10,000 and then they just abandoned her?
Yeah.
And it's because her husband has 4 different sets of lawyers. Now, if he can afford 4 different sets of lawyers, he can certainly afford the child support on the 2 children. The other one that I had to notify her of was there's a clause in the divorce decree under maintenance for children. And I'm wondering how to spin on that one, too, because I'm doing a little more research on that.
Well, I didn't know what the wording says in that, and I could always spin it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. But that's where my head's at right now. I'm sorry I missed your calls. Had some power issues up here. Had some other things going on. But my cousin came up and powered me up a little bit, and we're trying to get the pocket-sized solar situations up here.
Right.
We're battling the power company for some stupid reason, and then ironically, I have 2 poles in the yard. So
you got what?
I have 2 poles in the yard, one at the front, and one on the side, and they are definitely in my yard. So I might have to send them a bill. But,
well, yeah, that's at least a rental agreement. Because you're not paying for the juice right now, so they could afford to reimburse you.
Yep. We'll find some spin on that one. You know me, I'm going to dig like you do. You know, that's the other one. People don't comprehend what it takes to actually get into this. I mean, you know, even if you're just starting out, it takes a minimum of 18 months to 2 years sometimes. So, you know, that's why we try to get you to the website to take a look at this stuff and read up on it to start. You know, we've tried to Ed's tried to narrow it down on his producer to give it to you a little bit better, so you don't have to go so far into the research, but I don't know. I guess it's just an addiction at this point in time, isn't it, Ed?
Well, yes, too, but yeah, you want to do and read some of the stuff, because if you ever end up in court, you have to know if the judge asks you a question. At least you have to have a cheat sheet with you. So, and then that's the one thing, is always answer a question with a question.
Thank you.
Always.
And be ready, because they're going to try to twist you. They're going to see just how much they can twist you. You know, they're professionals at psychological warfare. They spend about 2 to 3 years just learning psychological warfare. The other one is grammatics, your syntax on your words. You really want to learn your words. Somebody just recently said, if you want to play with these clowns, you probably want to get something before 1930 when it comes to your Webster's or your dictionary issues. And now that we found out that Black's Law was a hoax, and that they were basically using basic, like Webster's Dictionary, and I forget the other one they said they used.
Bouvier.
There you go. Thank you. So
this is one thing that people got to really realize on how this stuff has been majatoire. How it's all a game, and it's all a word game, and so, and that's what gets to me. We shouldn't be playing these word games. Well, they don't educate the kids to stay in school, you know. And what the hell is this math on the side now? What happened to going up and down where, you know, you didn't have to do this side stuff and then go back and forth and, you know, this new math. It's like, that's just ridiculous.
That's from the Koch brothers, Koch. You can look it up. They're the ones that have backed it to dumb down the human race.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's the other one. There was something else. I was going somewhere with that.
Well, the Koch brothers own the mill here in town.
Well, they were also fined, 202 violations back when Bush was in office. He suspended 200 of them. They denied one in the courtroom. They got fined for one. They paid 11.5 million just in the actual one to pay out. And ironically, they make 13.5 million a day. They were actually dumping cancerous waste into the off runs. Literally dumping.
They're doing it here in my county right now. They dump it right in the Umpqua River.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yaquina Bay River. So, I mean, and this stuff is being constantly dumped, and people think, oh, it doesn't affect us, and it goes to these millions for gallons, and it's like, you got to realize millions of gallons, and they're dumping millions of gallons.
Well, and then if you get pulled over, Darlene just sent me one. She said she got pulled over. They drug her to the hospital and took a blood test. No warrant whatsoever.
Putting
it under the guise of the COVID-19.
She never filed her paperwork.
Oh, she's got paperwork going. Trust me.
No, she never filed it. Because mine is filed with the police department, the Secretary of State. These clowns, they have to ask permission to talk to me.
Right. No.
See, I'm not a citizen. See, and that's the one thing. And she just got drugged in and illegally searched. I hope she's suing them. I hope she's got their name to file the criminal charges.
She's got the name. She's also got the paperwork in play. She's delivering it tomorrow. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
No, and also too, she has to file that in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I know. I've got to send her an email real quick or a message real fast.
Yeah, she's got to file Washington, D.C., the state appeals court and the state court. And people say, why would you want to file it in appeals court? You haven't been to court. You just file it. It's already filed in appeals court. That way you already have a recorded record of it.
And that's the other one. You might mention that they want to bring their own stenographer.
Well, that's true if you can afford it.
Exactly. Well, with everybody out of work right now.
No, that's true, too. And that's the one thing. The only court that is not closed down is the Supreme Court. The actual congressional courts, they cannot close them down.
Isn't there another one in Philadelphia?
Yep, they cannot close them down. So they sure don't want the people to know this one. So, but it's like with the campaign I'm doing. I'm putting this stuff forward now. I'll be on this other talk show Tuesday. So I'll find out how much they're going to, if they're going to actually delete me or not. I'm not going to go into the studio. I'm going to do it on the phone. I might rather be at my home than go to the studio and then travel through town. Just for the sake of argument. Because I am bringing this stuff up where the court system has no rights. The courts don't have rights. And so this is the one thing that you need to start talking up and bringing this up now. Right now, with the city and counties are shut down, right now is the most important time pushing this stuff out there. Because people are starving for attention, they're bored, and this way, the only way we're going to change things is by getting it, because democracy does not work.
You have infringement upon rights and conflict of interest.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to do that, too, is to file a conflict of interest statement with your judge, your lawyer, and attorneys, anybody you're going to court with. People say, don't do that. And it's like, no, you want to do that because they're there for one reason. They're only making a buck. If you ever personally harmed or injured somebody, caused property damage, you shouldn't be wasting our times in these courts. And also, too, if you know about the court system, if you do harm somebody or cause property damage, you will have a right to go to court and put amends filing in immediately. And so that way you can start your own side to make amends. That way the judge cannot have a say in it. It's learning how to utilize and making your courts work for you. And that's one thing that, we have a problem with that. Because everybody goes in and they go in and so the clerk told me this, and I always get that. I said, you go in, did you ask him this? Well, the clerk said that. I said, that's not what I asked you. So in other words, the clerk told you to divert over here, and so you went over there instead of telling the clerk that, no, I'm not going to divert. I would like you to do your job. Please notify this and stamp it. See, they're going to try to get you any which way they can to not do their job. Because, what do they care about you? You're not paying their pension. Oh, that's right. Yes, you are, through your strawman account, through your interest numbers. And see, that's the one thing that we're getting this out. So that way, once you get to know the interest numbers and how they're stealing your money and utilizing it in the public accounts, so we're getting this stuff out. We're utilizing this. So this way, we got to start doing this. You know, we got to start using our accounts. We don't have a problem if they want to use our accounts. I don't have an issue with that. I'll take the scraps on it. You know, they can use it so long as they're not messing with me. You know, I don't mind them using the account to pay themselves, but not to harass me, not to insult me. And that's the way we all should be in this matter. You know, we should be all thinking about this. Because if we don't start coming through to this stuff, we're going to be in more and more crazy times coming up. And you think this is... Go ahead.
Well, in actuality, that relates back to what JFK said. Don't ask what your government can do for you. Ask what you can do for your government. But let's not let them have the lion's share, you know.
Right. Yeah, don't give them the lion's share, but at least, you know, I don't believe in paying Caesar with Caesar's because Caesar didn't earn it. You know, but when these public employees are out there doing a job, they're earning their wage so long as they're not abusing their position. And so that's what we need to do with these people, is bring them back to life. You know, bring them back to what's going on here. So, yeah, yesterday was so hot here. They cut all the trees down in my town. So it was like almost like desert weather yesterday.
Why'd they cut the trees down?
Oh, this is Oregon turning into California. And then the Oregonians bitch about the Californians, but they're the ones that are doing it. That's what always amazes me.
That's criminal. Cutting a tree down is criminal.
You know,
I mean, unless you're going to use it or do something with it, but just to cut them down, that.
Well, and the other point is they sent 40 million board feet to China, and they sunk it in the Chinese Bay. I was able to get that put in the West Coast papers 20 years ago. So it's like a lot of this stuff is crazy what's going on.
Well, the other one is about the food.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. Pay attention to food right now. If you got to stock up, because we haven't seen the deal that's coming down the pike yet. You know,
a friend was just talking about Tyson chicken. Like a couple of their plants, a bunch of the people are supposedly sick, so they've shut the plants down. So there's going to be a meat shortage coming up, he said.
Yeah, they're doing a meat shortage situation, but on top of it, what they're doing is they're not labeling the packages, so you don't know where it's coming from. That's what they're doing in the courts and the government.
Well, that's the saddest part, because you don't know what food you're getting. That's why I recommend that if you got cattle companies around, you go buy it from your cattle company. Usually it's, you know, for a half cow, it's $400. So, you know.
They're actually taking $400 less on the actual whole cow at this point in time.
Oh, shit. That's one thing I'm working to do that the next month. I'll be buying that. You know, because I mean, and that's better meat than the stuff we're getting in the store anyways.
Yeah, there's probably somebody not far from you just like raising a few or whatever. Give you a heck of a deal.
Yep, I got one that's down the road from me. Actually, I got 3 of them down the road from me. So I'll be doing that one because, I mean, right now, it's, what is it, for a quarter cow, it delivered is $200.
Hope you guys are all putting gardens in too, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Don't forget putting those rain barrels out or whatever bucket you got, whatever, because we're going to be doing that.
There's actually one, there's a book out, it's only like $40. It tells you how to actually get water from like 60 gallons a day. And it's under like sweating situation, like the old humidifier type deal. And then there's another one. There's There's another one was just put out by a couple who's been living off grid for 40 years. And that one I know is just under 40. I ordered it myself. And it tells you how to do everything right down to raising the chickens and how you actually want to feed water to the chickens before you decide that you're going to eat them and defeather them. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead. When somebody else was chiming up, go ahead. I heard somebody else trying to chime up.
Yeah, Ed.
Go ahead.
David, did you get that, I sent it, put it on your wall about this executive order that Trump signed? He said he was just signing it, and he signed it in, was it March of this year? The thing is that it was on the Congress floor a year before. And it's H.R. 748.
Yep.
And
go ahead, tell people what it is about. Speak up.
It's a stimulus package for the COBO. It was on the Congress floor a year before in 2019, and Trump signed it in March. I forgot the date of this, but of this year for the stimulus package. So apparently they knew exactly a year before about this COBO happening or going to happen ahead of time.
Actually, you have to read that. That's not quite dead on. The actual package was to bail out the banks again. That's
Right.
really what it's about. And it was because the banks would be shut down during this period in time. So they're trying to tap into our bonds again to bail out the banks.
And I'm pretty sure if you research more, you'll find out that they're also going to raise taxes as an excuse.
Yes.
All right, but see, don't forget, we do have a gentleman out there that, has all that information out there on his website, and that's called the Kappa One, Walter Bruin. And so when they want to raise taxes, bring his site into it. Because his site shows you where the money is.
Yep.
Because they don't, when they do taxes, those taxes that they're raised, that they, like my city put a new tax for the streets for, $10 a month. All right. That's going into the investment fund to the Oregon State, that Transportation Highway Investment Fund. So that's going into investment fund where they are raising money and they're partying on our money.
Yep.
Yeah, to give you an idea of that, it's 57 million in one side of my county, 54 million on the other side of the county, and then down where my cousin at, they're probably at 87 million. And then they actually, they take it, they put it on the stock market, they get more money out of it, and it's then delivered to the nice little CFO or CEO of the towns and split amongst them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they want to cry and say, we don't have enough money for the roads and whatnot. Pay more.
Go ahead, may I? Somebody said, may I? Go ahead.
I didn't say may I was copying if that was me. Yeah, the way they do it here, there's an amendment that they can't raise taxes without a direct vote from voters. So
they don't go by the voters. It'll go by the representatives of your town. Trust me on that one. They just had one here.
This is Colorado. It's an amendment. In fact, I knew the guy that finally got it through. It took him like three tries. They're trying to do away with it. They've been trying to do away with it ever since we got it. But but they go out and say, we need to raise this tax from you guys so we can fix the potholes, and it's like, and they con the people into voting for it anyway. And they'll probably con them into voting to do away with the amendment. But it's crazy. It's like, well, so that capper thing you're talking about, I went and asked the county people, and they said, oh, sure. And it was it was all on glossy paper, but it was the budget. And I said, no, I want the capper. And there's an older guy. He said, I think we got that downstairs. So he leaves and comes back, and he says, he knew what I was talking about. He said, no, but you can get it online.
You
So
know,
it's
No, you can't get it online. They don't have that up online.
yes,
well,
they do.
supposedly they do. Supposedly they do here as of last year.
Oh, okay.
So, I'll find all that out. But it's like when they,
It may be under the full name, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
right. And I may have had to say that, but like I say, like the two young ones, they didn't have a clue, but there was an older guy, and he knew what I was talking about. So, but anyway, I mean, yeah, the Walter Brilliant stuff you're talking about, that's good stuff. But so you know, a guy like ought to go get that when they're asking for another tax increase, and take it around to people and say, hey, look at this. They got tons of money. They don't need more.
If you really want to mess with them, ask to see their book. That'll really twist it. Ask to see the books.
Yeah, what's the current entries?
Well, you see, and don't ask for just the debtor side. Ask for the other side. Ask for both sets of books. There's two sets of books.
Right. Well, that's kind of like the cap versus the budget anyway. You know, it's like the supposed money versus the real money.
Well, it's all based off the interest and dividends. Go ahead.
They look at your real strength when you ask to review the books. Trust me on that one. Then they try to double talk you and say, oh, well, you wouldn't comprehend it. Want to make a bet? My stepmother was a CPA.
Trust me, I went through that when I recalled the school board and the state attorney general, and everybody attacked me throughout the entire state. I couldn't go anywhere without being attacked in the state. I swear they had my picture on bulletin boards.
Look out for this man.
You know.
The old wanted poster in the sheriff's office in the Old West, huh?
Yep.
Dead or alive.
That was the dartboard.
$500, dead or alive.
Yeah, it is just amazing. But like I said, the stuff is coming out. The people are waking up. You know, and so I got a couple more videos on getting posted up. Excuse me. I'll get on, and we'll see if they're going to throw those off of YouTube or not, or Facebook, I mean. Because they sure go after me quite a bit here lately.
Well, one I'd like to suggest, okay, is if you have a posting, all right, should we do a statewide thing? I've noted this over in England. They're fighting back in England. What they're doing is they're posting when somebody has to go to a courtroom situation. So that there's force in numbers.
No, that's good. I mean, we were trying to do that for 10 years up here in Oregon here, but nobody wanted to jump on the bandwagon with us.
Well, I think because everybody's sitting around and they have nothing to do, it wouldn't be a bad thought process because I noticed that, Mark Christopher over there has done a posting situation. When he does a posting, there's usually 20 to 30 some odd people. It's actually risen to about 50 a shot now, and they are really rattling the cages over Queen Lizzie's area. And I think that's why she's hiding with the COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to rustle up some gallery support for Matteron, and
What's that?
it's a driver's license thing.
Okay, but did you get the paperwork where the American Bar Association said you don't need a driver's license?
I've seen it. I don't have it in hard copy yet.
Okay, well, if you email it to me, I'll email it to you.
Good case on that one. Thompson v. Smith.
Thompson v. Smith?
Yep, comes right out of Lynchburg, Virginia, 1930.
I was going to say, that sounds familiar. I was going to ask the year. I think I know that one.
Basically what happened was a farmer was pulled over in his pickup at night. He refused to show the officer his license. and the officer went after him. Okay? He was not driving a commercial vehicle at the time. You're not driving in commerce. You do not have to identify yourself. You do not have to give them your bought and paid for license. And there's something under the bought and paid for our deal there too. Another one where you do not have to pledge your vehicle.
Yeah, I finally got around to painting not for hire. I got a dark truck. I painted on white on the door. I'm feeling a little more comfy that way. But is gas cheap where you guys at?
No, we're still at 3 1/4 a gallon up here.
Well, you got.
I paid $1.33 the other day, Colorado.
That's the way it's up here in Virginia. It's about $1.30 to about $1.40.
Yeah, we're still up at $3 up here.
Well, have you seen the map of all the ones that are sitting in the harbors right now?
Well, yeah, I noticed the gas just went down to 0. It had a collapse.
Yep.
So it's like we should be paying 60 cents a gallon.
If that.
If it starts back up, I'm going to see if I can find some barrels and get it. Because I think it's likely to go back where it was when everybody starts getting back on the road, don't you think?
Depending on where you're at, you have the right up to 300 gallons per month.
Yeah, that's I got a barrel on still, so I had to fill that thing up.
So anybody else got some stuff they would like to add this evening? Nobody? Okay. Well, we'll call it a quick night tonight. And like I said, please pass my Facebook around. You know, if we're running for office, read what I've got posted up there. So this way you pass it around, and this way people can see what the law is. Because I have it written on that. So I want to make sure it gets around. Because then that way go ahead.
I had a thought process on that. Shouldn't we be asking the people around in our states also?
Yes.
Hey, what do you think about this?
Exactly. Exactly the point right there.
You know,
so we need to go that direction.
Yeah, start asking those representatives. See where their representation is.
Right. See, it's up to you. And that's the point. People got to realize it's up to them. Because nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else gives a shit. So, yeah. Well, we'll call an early evening tonight. And, I'll keep the calls going in. I'll still keep up. And also, too, we had 50 more people join the sites today, this last week. So far, the last month, we've had over 200 people joining. So people are getting it. It is going around. It is, people are slowly comprehending what's going on.
And might I suggest you tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends?
Yeah, it was a Z05 commercial.
Hey, I didn't go with the Territon. I'd rather fight than switch. I mean.
So, well, with that one, we're going to call it an evening. And may the Creator look over you, protect you, and may Mother Earth and Father take care of us. That's the one thing. Without the Great Spirit and Mother, we have nothing. So with that, we'll call it an evening, and we appreciate your time.
All right.
Call, thanks.
Thanks for listening to Disclaimers. Thanks for listening to Disclaimers by Ed Johnston. It is Saturday, May 9th, 2020. It is currently 6:04 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And catch you next